I don't even know how to respond to that. Just no. Do you know what it is? I've got two horses. I've got two horses in the race. Either my boy Stipe gets him or Tom gets him. So I know. I mean, I've stacked the deck. Like I've stacked the deck more or less. So I'm quite happy in that. We're gonna get John Jones. You know, we're gonna get him. We're gonna one way or another. We'll get him. We'll get him. It's just I'm not even. Do you know what it is? As far as MMA media is concerned, I just can't cope, man. I'm just listening to Dana like just waffling about him and just talking nonsense the entire time.
This I think Dana, like, okay, I guess we're gonna talk about Jones. Let's start off with Jones because I feel like that's been like kind of like the biggest thing this week. I feel like they made the biggest mistake making Tom Aspinall and that Sergey Pavlovich interim title fight, because if the end goal was to always do the Stipe Muchacho versus John Jones fight, they should have probably never done that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, because the problem is, it's like he's the interim champion, you know, and we know what happens when you're the interim champion. You fight the champ, not the number 8 guy in the fucking world. You know what I'm saying? Like, as much as some people might not like to hear it, but Stipe Miocic's last, 4 opponents have been a combination of Daniel Cormier and Francis Ngannou. Last time I checked, Daniel Cormier is retired and Francis Ngannou is in another promotion. So it's like, I mean, he hasn't fought against any of the new heavyweight, the new generation heavyweight. I think the biggest problem was thinking that this is some type of dream fight and then trying to act as if like you have to protect it at all costs. And then they got greedy making an interim title fight for $295 because they needed something because Jones pulled out. So it's a very interesting situation that they put themselves in, but it's their fault. You know what I'm saying? So they have no one else to blame but themselves. Yeah, like I just think you've seen this twice, right? You saw Robert Whittaker, right? He was dealing with the nonsense of Michael Bisping and GSP having their little legend fight. And I just thought it was very weird that, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of the evil Robert Whittaker, but I just thought it was very weird that Robert Whittaker never fought Michael Bisping, right? And that you could tell there was clear politics there, as if you can tell there's clear politics here, right? The second time this has ever happened, a lot of people might not remember this. Renan Barão was the interim champion. Like, Renan Barão to Tom Aspinall is a lot more.
He was cleaning up while Chris was injured, if I remember.
Yeah, it's a lot more comparable, right? Because Renan was, I think, the last interim champion that was defending his belt, just like Tom Aspinall did against Curtis Blades, which is so weird because it's like we don't really see that a lot. So it's just a weird situation in general. I just think the UFC fucked up. The only way they can fix this is just getting this John Jones Stipe Muchacho fight out the way. I mean, if one of those old guys fucking break their hip or breaks the fucking leg, I mean, I just at this point just throw them a fucking away, like, and just make Tom Aspinall the champ, because I mean, we've waited what, a year for this fight, so
nearly 2, because John Jones won the belt last March.
Yeah,
so it'll be a year and 6 months, a year and 5 months.
Yeah,
like we're talking about a dude who's held the belt for nearly 18 months.
Yeah,
obviously he got injured. That wasn't his fault, but it's just I agree with what you're saying. I think the interim fight that they did at MSG was always going to cause this issue. But I think the UFC never like dangling that the whole they never want to ruin their legacies, but they also don't want to ruin their future planning. So say, for instance, I don't believe John Jones beats Tom Aspinall, but let's say Stipe pulled out, John Jones fought Tom Aspinall, he beats Tom, and then John Jones retires. What the fuck did they do with that belt? We've just seen Cyril Gane lose twice in top fights. We would have seen Tom stop drastically drop after John Jones loses. Who the fuck do they put in there to crown the new heavyweight champ? They'd put Poatan in there without a shadow of a doubt. But who's the other guy? Like, they're not going to put Blades in there. 1, he's coming off a loss. 2, he's a grappler. Volkov's on a bit of a run. They might put Volkov in front of him. Pavlovich maybe, but Pavlovich is coming off another loss. Jelton Almeida, I can't remember if he's fought since Blades or not. I don't think he has, not since 299. But again, there's nothing there that appeals, if that makes sense. I think they're just playing the long game with the heavyweight division because it tells you a lot. If they're willing to wait nearly 18 months to 2 years for Stipe John Jones, I think it's because they need to line the ducks up in a row with everything else going on. They need Tom ready to save the day. They also need Poatan to obviously demolish Khalil Roundtree and for him to potentially go up to heavyweight. So they've got other ideas up their sleeve, but they're not willing to throw on that John Jones the case. It sport they and Dana's always wanted the UFC. What we haven't had, where other sports have had, is like this figure where you're like, oh my god, this is the guy. Like golf has got Tiger Woods, and basketball's got MJ. Right? You're a basketball fan, so it's fair to say, right?
Yeah,
Michael Jordan, that guy, and they've always wanted John Jones to be that figure in MMA when he got his boot deal with Nike. I'm saying it the American way because you know what, otherwise you're gonna talk nonsense. And then he lost it because of his antics. But you know as well as I do, very early on, before Reebok and everything else, they really tried to get these endorsements and these sponsorships and try to really invest heavily in John Jones, especially because he was the guy who won the belt at 23 and he had his whole career ahead of him. So they want him to be that guy where it's like, you know what, he's the Michael Jordan of MMA.
Yeah, I hear you.
And they're trying to protect his legacy. And obviously, everyone's going to say UFC don't care who wins or loses fights. I kind of disagree because obviously they're going to have vested interests in other areas. They care about protecting his legacy, but also protecting their future planning of the heavyweight division.
Yeah, so, I agree. I think, I really agree with that because I feel like they're looking at this whole situation in perspective of pay-per-view sales, right? Because you could do the Tom Aspinall and John Jones fight. Does that really break 1 million pay-per-view buys? I don't think so. You do Stipe Miocic and John Jones. I don't know if they really break like 1 million.
I don't think it does. I think it does 800-900K. It depends on around the card as well. But I think like we alluded it to a bit earlier. It's like they get this legacy money fight out of the way.
Yeah,
they've got Tom in the wings, and then they can potentially, if John Jones or Stipe, whoever wins that fight, is likely to retire. If not, both of them retire. You've still got Tom with his record intact.
Exactly.
Then you do him fighting someone else for like the new undisputed belt. Kind of similar. What they don't want to happen is a situation where John Jones fights Tom Aspinall, beats him, retires, and Dana doesn't want to get finessed twice like GSP did.
Because you leave with nothing, right? So it's like
you leave with nothing. You leave with a guy who's supposed to be the guy.
Yeah,
he gets beat by John Jones, and then he takes that bout away. He's already had Francis leave him as well. I've said to you, the fact that they're willing to wait 18 months to 2 years to do this, I think a lot of it's got to do with the fact that it's not a case of John Jones not wanting to fight Tom or Tom not wanting to fight John. I think the UFC just don't want to make that fight. I'll be honest, and this is the same John Jones and his team where I forget who he was supposed to fight, but I think Chael Sonnen offered to step in. They pulled out the card completely.
Yeah,
years and years ago. I'm like, big man, if you like, he's supposed to be the baddest dude on the planet, but this is what he does, isn't it? Like he just chickens out and fucks shit up for the rest of us. It's like,
yeah.
I genuinely think if Stipe pulled out and Tom offered to come in, he would not take that fight. He would not take that fight.
But there's a big part of me that, like, obviously we hope, those guys don't get hurt and they finally do this fight. But at the end of the day, John's a smart guy. He's always, like, in terms of like fighting, he's always been a very smart like individual in terms of how he plays things, like probably some of the best fight IQ. I feel like that's probably one of his most underrated parts of his game is his fight IQ. And not only inside the octagon, but outside. And he's like, I mean, the guy's...
I don't know about that, Chief. He's questionable decision making outside of the octagon.
I'll say the reason why I say he's a smart guy is because he has finessed 3 scandals of drug abuse, of the PED situation, and the drug abuse of narcotics, like cocaine, probably crystal, whatever the guy's getting into. I don't know, but he's finessed all those situations and came out as a millionaire, right? So that's why I say he's pretty smart, because he's kind of gotten away with a lot of shit, right? And he knows where not to go and where to go, especially in the fighting game. Oh, he got away with fucking hitting his girl. So it's like, I mean, he's still making fucking money. He's still making the big fights, right? His career and his legacy is still intact, and people kind of love him, right? So the thing is, I think John is really smart, and he knows who to fight and who not to fight. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, so actually, funny story. I don't want to get too off topic. I did watch that Guru, like, Rainbow Coalition, John Jones.
I'm not gonna lie, that video's too long for me to watch. Like,
I know, I finally watched it last week. I don't know why.
It's like 40 minutes long. I'll be honest, like I might be one of the only dudes who just doesn't give a fuck. Like, if John Jones is a bit fruity or whatever he likes doing in his free time.
But like what's crazy is I wasn't aware of any of the stuff that, like, it was kind of crazy what was in that video. Like, I don't know how any people. I guess Guru, but he had people helping him.
I credit you and tell you. To be honest, I remember, like, you seen the Usman clip flying around with Cejudo. Obviously, we're not going to get into it because it'll be a minefield. But it's like people making 30, 40-minute videos out of like a 30-second clip, and it's like, to me, that situation was very simple. And you broke it down in your Pack Watch video earlier in the week very well. And it's like, well, why do we need to go over this, and why do we need to spend an hour deliberating over this? It's just fucking stupid. It's just
I agree, but no, I just wanted to give some clarification that I have actually watched the video, because I know, like, it's like what, like almost like 3 months ago, something like that.
Yeah.
But, I was surprised. I'm not gonna lie. I went in there with very low standards, thinking that, like, how is he gonna prove he's gay? And
looks like
I'm like, how is he gonna do this, right? And then I watched the video. That, I don't know if you know, there's a part in the video where he's in a comedy club, and it is insane. He's insanely drunk. Like, and the things that he said with the comedian, and the fact, like, I've never seen that clip. Like, it's insane that that was the first time I've ever seen that clip. I was just kind of shocked. I was like, yeah, no way. So yeah, that was wild. But hey, it is what it is. Jones got to do what he got to do, man. He touched a motherfucker in public, and a stand-up comedian